Put it into sport mode, it will simulate 7 simulated gears. We're just going to torque brake to about 2300 RPM and go. No wheel spin. Okay, there we go. 0 to 60 in 8 seconds. And it may have been slightly downhill, so the CVT is not going to be, in theory, the quickest out of the two if you're fast with the manual, but I'm just going to put this into drive. I'm going to put it also into comfort mode. That should mellow out these adaptive dampers here. And I'm in the all-new Integra. It's been over 20 years, and the automatic in here is no longer, you know, your traditional slush box torque converter. We have a CVT, or continuously variable transmission, and it is sport tuned. Like, it felt decent right there. It's one of the better feeling transmissions known as a CVT on the market. Like, here I'm going about 43. I'm just going to hammer again. I'm not in sport mode, and go. It acts like it kind of downshifts, but then takes right off. So it definitely is a good match for this 1.5 liter turbo engine with 200 horsepower and over 190 pound-feet of torque. We also have paddle shifters in here. So I'm going to put it back into sport mode, and I'm going to use the left paddle here to downshift. So it says sport manual 3rd gear right now. I'm just going to push it uphill, go. There's a bit of delay, a little bit of that, what they call that rubber band effect, but it's not bad. And if I upshifts feel actually pretty good. They almost feel like a traditional automatic transmission. Again, I'm going to downshift with these paddle shifters. I can't hear anything what the engine's doing. It's probably because I have the AC on, because it's 91 degrees here in the countryside outside of Austin, Texas. So it's wow, what a beautiful landscape. It always catches me by surprise when I'm around Austin, is that you'll find yourself on the top of a hill and you're able to see miles and miles and miles of like deserty forest. It's hard to explain because you don't see a lot of green grass, but you see a lot of green trees. Anyways, putting my foot down, response is there. And I need to slow down as the heads-up display is letting me know that 80 miles an hour is probably a little bit too fast for this road. Also, great thing about this heads-up display is that when you have Android Auto plugged in, it does give you turn-by-turn on that heads-up display. Super nice feature. Now, if you missed my driving impressions on the manual, go ahead and check that out. I had a little bit more time with that car, and this one's very easy to drive. Of course, it's an automatic, but a couple things that I didn't point out in that video is that this rear view mirror is super high quality. It's kind of like this frameless, bezel-less auto dimming mirror. I really like it. Earlier this week, I drove the Nissan Z, and that mirror was huge, chunky, cheap, plasticky feeling, and it took a lot of my vision. That's not the issue. This is a very premium feeling mirror in this Integra. Now, when I was speaking to Acura, the vast majority of models sold under the Integra brand is going to be the A-Spec model, which includes the A-Spec technology package, or sometimes they call it the A-Spec performance package, because it gives you the adaptive dampers, and the 6-speed manual is an option. But I'm going to get hard into the brakes here. Brakes feel great. These are the 12-inch rotors taken from the Civic Si, I believe. So stopping power is really good. It's a little bit drony when you're just mashing the gas, but you definitely feel the quickness of this vehicle, even though it has, you know, a very modest 200 horsepower and slightly less pound-feet of torque. It is still a grin-inducing experience with this little 1.5 liter. And one of the things that has really impressed me with the Integra over like the Civic counterpart is that the ride quality is better. It's much quieter in here. Road noise is definitely less, wind noise is definitely less, and you really only notice the wind noise around 60 miles an hour and above. These seats are very comfortable. They're definitely not over bolstered by any means. If you want stiffer, more supportive seats, then the Type S is probably going to be more your style. But who knows if the Type S is actually coming out. Acura, of course, their lips are sealed whenever I even like hint at Type S, so go figure. The steering wheel feels excellent in this car. My hands are super happy hanging out in this leather steering wheel. And also, I believe it's the only leather in this vehicle. Maybe we might have some on the shifter here, but it kind of feels plasticky. The seats are actually fake leather. You cannot get real leather on the Acura Integra, which if my memory serves me correct, I think you can get actual leather on the touring and sport touring models of the Civic. Doesn't matter to me, and in fact, synthetic leather typically holds up better as the years go on, so it's not a deal breaker to me by any means. There's that vista I'm talking about. Just beautiful landscape. And this is a very beautiful car. Acura has done a great job with the styling of this vehicle. And there's no way you can tell the difference on the outside whether you have a CVT or a 6-speed manual. They are all identical looking as far as I'm concerned. The only way you can tell is when you get on the inside, and the shifter is definitely different. And if you're peeking through the glass here, you'll be able to see the paddle shifters on this model. I've turned the transmission into sport mode. I've turned the software settings for dynamic mode into sport, and we're going to do 0 to 60 one more time and go. It doesn't launch very hard. It takes a while. That first simulated gear is so long. And 8.13, so that was slower than my first one, but I think my first one was more downhill, so I think that is more indicative of the actual performance here on the CVT model. So around 8, low 8s, 0 to 60 for this vehicle. But back to the breakdown of the volume on this car. Acura really won't tell me production volume for the first year. In fact, I don't think they know, because wow, this is crazy. Oh man. That is stunning. What a cool little riverbed there. But the breakdown of packages is 20% base, which is around $31,000 after destination. And then 80% is going to be A-Spec plus the A-Spec technology package, which this vehicle is. 65% of the pre-orders were for manual transmission. And like when I was talking to my Acura rep, he said, well, when they killed the Accord manual transmission, they were producing at like 5% take rate, and it wasn't even selling at that volume, so they just decided to kill it. The Integra is a much different beast, and the take rate is probably going to be at least 10 to 15% in my opinion, after the initial enthusiast gets their taste of the pie, with the 65% of pre-orders being manual. Now maybe the 6-speed manual just isn't in your budget, because that vehicle's gonna be around $37,000 delivered, somewhere around there. And so this vehicle, not the A-Spec performance, but the base model with the 17-inch wheels, you'll be able to get for around $31,000 with the same performance, just not the performance dampers that are on this vehicle. You'll still get the nice brakes, you'll still get the multi-link rear suspension, and there's like a Chevy Equinox behind me, so I'm going to start booking it. If you know how to drive a manual, or you want to learn, the manual is really easy to learn in my opinion, especially with the rev matching downshifts, and the shifter is just so precise. I think it's pretty accommodating for new learners. And me just pushing the gas pedal up the hill here, you get that immediate torque, that low down torque in this little turbocharged engine. It's pretty satisfying. Keeps the vehicle up to speed even on those steep hills. All right, we have a nice turn here. It says 20 miles an hour. I will slow down just a little bit because it's definitely a blind turn. And okay, here's the actual turn, which is also a blind turn. I'm going to slow down to about 35. Oh, no problem. Power out of it. Easy cheesy. It does handle really, really well. I do feel like it has a little bit more body roll. It's not quite as glued down to the road as the Civic Si, and I know that vehicle weighs a couple 100 pounds less than this, and I think the suspension, all the dampers and springs on that vehicle were changed out versus the non-SI model. So that one to me feels a little bit more sport oriented, but in terms of everyday comfort and livability, this vehicle does have the edge over the Civic Si, no doubt, especially when it comes to harshness and road noise as well as wind noise. That's a beautiful NB MX-5 Miata. He's hauling like lumber in it too. That's what I love about taking the top down on the MX-5. You can throw large items into it. Anyways, Acura likes to compare this car to its German competitors, which is fair. It's a little bit underpowered, sort of, especially in the torque end compared to its competitors. And the CVT definitely doesn't hold a candle to their automatic transmissions, but it is a cheaper car than them. I cover Asian automakers mainly on the channel, so how does this stack up against the Mazda 3, which Mazda's trying to become more and more premium? Acura is definitely in that segment already and has been since its inception. This has a much better ride quality than the Mazda 3 Turbo. It doesn't have nearly as much power or torque. The automatic transmission is better than the CVT. If you live in a place with crummy roads, the Integra is the way to go. But if you absolutely have to have all-wheel drive, this vehicle doesn't offer that, like the Mazda 3 Turbo is standard with all-wheel drive. But if I had a choice between the Integra and the Mazda 3 Turbo, picking the Integra every time with the 6-speed manual. If I had to pick an auto, I might go with the automatic Mazda 3 Turbo. That's if I can convince myself to live with the harsh ride quality since it has a torsion beam and really thin tires. It's just a very bumpy and stiff ride experience compared to this vehicle. But anyways, I'm going to end it there. Thank you so much for watching my quick first hands-on test of the Acura Integra, and I'm glad the Integra is back. I'm glad that we have multiple transmission options. I wish that the 6-speed manual, it was at least on the A-Spec as well as the A-Spec Performance. I think that would really entice potential new buyers, but you know, manual take rates are so low. I get what Acura is doing, and they've done their research. They know that the average manual transmission person also wants the nice stereo, heads-up display, etc. But anyways, I'm gonna end it there. Really enjoyed my time with the new Integra. I'll see you guys in the comments below if you enjoyed the video. And if you enjoyed the Integra, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe for more Acura news and reviews, because you don't want to miss it when I cover the Civic Type R and the Integra Type S, if and when that vehicle ever comes out. Anyways, I'm going to end it there. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and peace out.